What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/ProRevenge. Alright, this story's called How My Grandpa Became the Owner of a Gas Station/Garage. My family immigrated to America in the 1880s and settled in Nebraska. We were farmers for the first 80 years or so, but back in the 1960s, my great-grandma decided she was gonna sell the entire farm before she died and simply give her sons a third of the money for inheritance when she passed. She had 3 sons. In 1969, my great-grandma passed, and her 3 sons inherited the money she had earned from selling the farm. My grandpa decided he would basically let that money sit until after he retired from the military. In 1971, he deployed to Vietnam for his second and final deployment. At the end of his deployment, he returned to Nebraska and retired after 22 years in the service. Now, he had an old Chevy truck at the time and was in the process of building a concrete business with the money he had gotten from his inheritance. Well, during this time, his truck engine blew up. My grandpa was busy at the time and didn't want to fool with the truck because he was busy. So he bought himself the engine he wanted to replace it with, which was an upgrade, and he went down to the only garage in town and asked them if they'd be willing to put the engine in the truck. They agreed on the price and told him to come back in a week or so. A week later, my grandpa comes back and picks up the truck. He admits he felt like a fool for not double-checking the work, but assumed since this was the son of his friend that the son would do right by him. This was a small town. Well, my grandpa opens up the concrete business and he's busy, and it comes time for his first oil change. This is about 4 months after he had got the truck back. He's doing the oil change and notices that the engine he bought isn't the engine in his truck. It's a smaller engine. This obviously pisses him off to high heaven, as my grandma liked to say. So he storms on down to the garage and talks to Shop. Earl was the owner. Earl comes out and denies any wrongdoing, says he did as he was told and it shouldn't have taken him 4 months to bring the issue up. My grandpa tells Earl he needs to do what's right. Earl refuses. It's important to note, this is a small town. Written contracts and so forth aren't really a thing. Your worth is your word. My grandpa tells Earl he's gonna get him for this. Earl laughs and tells him to leave his shop. My grandpa goes down to the county and requests the record for who owns that gas station. Turns out it's an old family friend named Harold. My grandpa stops by Harold's house and starts inquiring about the business deal Harold has with Earl. Harold says, well, Earl rents the gas station/garage from him. My grandpa asks Harold how is everything going, and Harold confides that Earl hasn't paid his rent in 2 months. My grandpa asks, do you have a written lease with Earl? To which Harold goes, nah, I sure don't. My grandpa then asks, what if I bought the gas station and garage from you? Harold isn't completely on board with the idea, but my grandpa makes a strong point. Earl isn't paying his rent, Harold doesn't seem like he has much interest in being a landlord anymore, and my grandpa has the cash to buy the place outright. Harold is sensing something is up and asks my grandpa, did Earl do something to you? You seem awfully interested in this garage. Ain't you busy with that concrete business of yours? And my grandpa fills Harold in on the story. My grandpa also mentions that he has a son, my father, who needs something to do, and he'd be happy to buy the whole building from Harold for a fair price. And what happens after that is his business. Also, it's important to note, when Harold decided to rent this business to Earl, in that deal went all the equipment and tools that Harold had acquired over the years, so those belonged to the building. Harold and my grandpa came to a number that they both agreed on. A few days later, my grandpa paid Harold in cash, in full, for the business. The paperwork is done, and my grandpa is now the proud owner of a gas station and mechanic shop. Now, my grandpa senses that Earl ain't gonna be pleased when my grandpa fires Earl, so for extra good measure, my grandpa calls up the local sheriff, who's a high school friend, and asks the sheriff to come with him to break the news to Earl. So my grandpa and the sheriff go down to Earl's now former business, and they walk in. And before my grandpa can even say hello, Earl says, now I told you I didn't cheat you. My grandpa smiles and says, I'm not here about my truck. I'm here to fire you. Earl, with a look of confusion on his face, asks, you can't fire me. I own this business. My grandpa shows him the title and says, "I'm now the owner of this building." To which Earl fires back, "But I got a deal with Harold." And the sheriff speaks up. "You do? Do you have a lease?" "Well, no," Earl says. To which the sheriff smiles and says, "In that case, you're gonna need to take your stuff and leave." Earl is fuming, pissed, grabs his toolbox and storms out. My grandpa ended up hiring the mechanic that would occasionally work on his trucks at his concrete business. He had my aunt and grandma run the gas station full time, and my dad would work there after school. We owned that garage for 25 years, before my grandpa sold it to someone else. Small town justice, I love it. None of the stupid red tape and forms and stupid stuff. I hate that. Oh my god, it just grosses me out. It's so simple. I love it. But it's also easy to get screwed over. But it's also way easier to screw them back. It's beautiful. Alright, this story's called Ex-Boyfriend and His Ex Caused Me to Almost Off Myself. I cause ex-boyfriend to lose his business. Hello everyone, gonna try to make this as short, sweet, and to the point as possible. I'd been dating someone for a few months and decided to get an apartment in their hometown. Everything was going fine until I logged into a local chat room, think AOL days, to hopefully make some new friends and find out good places to go sing karaoke, and a weird username messaged me and said, "Hello," and nothing else. A few days later, me and the boyfriend, let's call him Bob, are supposed to meet up for breakfast, and when I get there, he has a messenger bag with him. I ask him what he wants to eat, and he says he's not hungry. I ask him what's wrong, and he pulls out about 20 pages of chat logs from that weird username on the website. In this chat log, there is some very graphic adult stuff that was being discussed by that username. Also in that chat log was my name, commenting on it, which I never did. I asked him what this was, and he, of course, asked me to tell him what it was. I honestly had no idea and told him so. He broke up with me right there over this. As I stated before, that username had said hello to me, and that was it. This chat log was faked, and no idea why someone would do that. When I got home, crying my eyes out, my phone rang, and there was a strange voice on the line, saying how that now that I'm single, I should go out with them and all sorts of crap. Then the text messages started about wanting to sexually assault me and various other things. It was then revealed that it was the ex of my now ex, Bob. Called up Bob and told him what was going on and asked him why he gave my number to his ex. He said I should have tried to cheat on him with his ex again. But again, never happened. Up until this, I thought Bob was gonna be the person I spent my life with. That obviously didn't happen. Needless to say, this resulted in a police report being filed with pictures of all the text messages and voicemails being given to the police. I almost killed myself that night over all this. Bob's ex created this fake chat log to try to break us up, which I did just to try to get him back, which didn't work in the end. The revenge. My ex-boyfriend Bob was running a computer business, and at the time, Windows required CD keys to install. He was building custom computers for people, but using a key generator to make the keys to install Windows in Microsoft Office 2003. I found this out and decided to contact Microsoft and the anti-piracy groups and gave them all the information I had. I didn't hear anything more about it until just before I moved back to my home state, the hammer fell. My ex lost his computer business and was fined over $100,000 for the software piracy. He still doesn't know who turned him in, but it cost him everything he had worked for. He was forced to move back in with his parents, sell his car, and get a job waiting tables. I was told I should post this here because we didn't know if this counted as pro or nuclear revenge. Updates. I was asked why Bob got the brunt of this. Well, here it is. Bob gave my contact information to his ex, and that started a campaign of harassment by his ex towards me. Police wouldn't do anything because of his uncle being on the force. So, Bob giving my phone number out to people and being the instigator and telling them to hit me up, as I later found out, is why he got the brunt of it. Rather have went after that sleazeball ex of his, but I couldn't get info on him. I suspect the other reason that the police didn't do anything was because of it involving 3 gay guys. Maybe if it had been a big city, maybe something thing would have been done back in 2005, but being the Midwest probably explains why the police there didn't give a rat's ass. Also, I should mention that I have done some IT work in the past, so that's why I called Microsoft and the anti-piracy groups, because I knew what Bob was doing was piracy, and it would cost him everything if they dropped the hammer on him, which it did. Jeez, that makes me think of my 6th grade girlfriend. We broke up because this one dude told her that I was only dating her because my friend told me to. It's stupid. It was really stupid. And then they ended up dating. It was kind of suspicious now that I'm thinking about it. But it's all fine, because after they broke up, which wasn't that long after, she went lesbian. But now, now she's with a dude. So I guess she swung back. But damn, the ex Bob did OP dirty, and then OP did him even dirtier. Alright, this story's called My Mom Tried to Ruin My Wife's Bachelorette Weekend, so we found one more party game. So I love my mom, but she can be a massive bimbo. She has always had everything handed to her. She has always gotten what she wanted because she was rich and pretty and been coddled to death by my grandfather and my stepdad. Pretty much, she is the girl you would have hated if you went to high school with her. My mom never liked anyone I dated. She doesn't like many other women and would say she is a tomboy despite the fact that she always dresses to the nines with hair and makeup done, but really she just likes hanging around men because women don't give a crap that she's pretty, so she loses her evil superpower. My mom was pretty nasty to my fiancé, now wife, but I'm gonna say fiancé for the purpose of the story. My fiancé did not grow up as privileged as my mom, and is a normal, down-to-earth person. My mom has a mean sense of humor, though in her defense, she usually likes people who can give it back to her, but not this time. We had a small wedding over the summer, so it was mostly family and close friends. We had some pre-wedding festivities, so men were in one cabin and women in the other, for a kind of bachelorette party leading up to the wedding. My fiance's sister called me, late at night, to complain about how wretched my mother was being. She was taking digs at everyone, but mainly my fiancé, and making jokes about how she's going to upstage her at the wedding. Now, this might be vain, but my fiancé had mentioned to me that it was something she was worried about. My mom did some modeling and knows how to turn it on when she wants to. They played some Bachelorette games, and for one where you had to guess answers about my fiancé, my mom kept guessing super insulting answers. Then, during their spa time, my mom spilled some mud mask all over my fiancé's hair. Honestly, the mom sounds like a hoot. My future sister-in-law said it was really ruining the night for my fiancé, and she was embarrassed. So I decided it was time for one last party game. I went to the grocery store and bought some pie tins, whipped cream, caramel, chocolate sauce, and made some pie. Now, usually when you make a prank pie to throw at someone, it's just whipped cream on a plate, but that is lame. I filled these bad boys up. Drove to the girl's cabin. I texted sister-in-law to keep fiancé awake, but it was like 1 in the morning by the time I got there. I told my fiancé that there was one more game and she should know what to do. Winked at her and let the girls have their fun. My mom was furious. She ended up leaving and saying she wasn't coming to the wedding, which she did come to, but she missed the ceremony. My mom tore up the check she was planning as the wedding gift, and I'm not gonna lie, that sucked because she is loaded. But honestly, our party game was priceless. After the wedding, my mom did not speak to me for months. Oh my god. She is still pretty pissed about it, but my only regret is that I didn't know she was going to leave in the morning, or I would have bought them water balloons as well. Edit. Apparently I was too coy and it wasn't satisfying, so I asked my wife for a play-by-play. I guess she cussed my wife out and laughed at the bridesmaids for being poor college students, but dear old granddad never let my mom be a poor college student. I wish I went up to see the fruits of my labor, but my wife assures me she was covered in it. And she had shorts and a tank top and long hair, so everything was a sticky mess. They planned it like a strategy game. First pie went in the face. When she jumped up, the second one nailed her from behind. And since she was sleeping, the room was dark and one was hiding a few feet away, so she got a second to the face. My wife said they scooped up what they could and chased her to the bathroom, just lobbing handfuls at her. Damn, that sounds like a dream party for me though. All that pie, can you imagine it? Anyway, well, at first the mom just sounded like she had a sense of humor that no one else really got, But it turns out she was just kind of a jerk, but a really pretty jerk, so I think it evens out. I'm joking. Just because you're good looking doesn't mean you can be mean. I mean, it depends on who's there, but for the most part, that's a no-no. Alright, this story's called Raid a Discord Server? Have fun getting pinged 2,000 times? Earlier this day, a Discord server where I was known was raided. They pinged everyone to join this server called Chill Server. After they were done, they would probably think that they'll go back, but nope. We would go back to the time they were spamming and we would join. At first they were fighting, but that's when I came in. I copied and pasted everyone a rude message at the very end. I only send rude messages when people genuinely piss me off. The actual number of everyone's was less than 2,000 because if I did have 2,000 characters, I wouldn't be able to fit the rude message in it. After that, I left. The end. Okay, that's actually dirty because I hate how often I get Discord messages. And they're not even directed at me. It's just freaking stupid stuff that I have no desire to read, okay? They're not even like direct messages. And just in so many servers that I just don't remember to leave or just, I don't know. Good Lord, it's annoying. So this guy knew what he was doing. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.